Hey everyone, Jessica Morrison with Ferris Property Group back for another indie home interview series. This time we are with Pyatt Builders, learning more about who they are as a company and what all they have to offer around Indianapolis. Today we have Jared Klein and Aaron Wheeler with Pyatt. I will let you both introduce yourselves and talk a bit about your position and just all that Pyatt has to offer right now. So Jared, welcome.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. We appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Pyatt Builders. Pyatt Builders was established in 2008 in the Indianapolis area. We're based out of the Carmel, Indiana, and service multiple communities and neighborhoods in the surrounding area.
And Aaron, what do you do for Pyatt?
My name is Aaron Wheeler, and I am a sales manager here at Pyatt Builders. I manage sales for the company in several locations. Started with the company about 9 years ago and am entering my 25th year, I think, of new home sales.
So I guess you like new home sales then, if you've been in it that long?
I like it. Yes. I have sawdust in my veins, I think.
How did you get started in new home sales?
I had a friend of mine that I grew up with as a kid in Crawfordsville, who just called me one day out of the blue, and I was actually looking for another job. I wanted to leave the company I was with, and he mentioned that he was working for a developer in Indianapolis and wanted to see if I wanted to talk about becoming a new home sales representative. And I just thought, I know nothing about that. Why are you calling me? And turned out to be the best call ever. It's been a great job. It feels like exactly what I should be doing.
That's awesome. And for those who are not familiar, what do you do as a sales manager? Do you rally your salespeople up and say, hey, you have to hit a certain number this month? What does a sales manager do in new home construction?
Our job is to really to walk the potential buyers and realtors through the home building process. Jared does the rest. He does the heavy lifting. We show the homes, the home sites, help the buyer narrow down the community, and even down into pricing out a home to make sure that we can build the home that they desire at the price point where they are happy with.
Now, Jared, it sounds like you have a part to play. What does that look like?
Yes, I guess Aaron, you're right. Mine's to keep the sales team rallied up and to work with our design team from a product perspective, with our land acquisition team from the standpoint of finding those new development areas and doing the due diligence, the research to ensure that they're the right location at the right designs and the right price points. And then we all work with our construction side partners to ensure that the homes are built with quality through the process, and as a team all work together to provide the best experience possible for our customers. And a big part of that is working with the realtor, with realtors like yourself. Again, you kind of look at ourselves as the construction side experts, and then we look to our realtor partners, again like yourself, to be the advocate of what makes sense from a resale perspective, where they're going to get the best value and maybe certain items and options that are going to go into that home. As all consumers, we have our wants and we have our needs. And sometimes, part of that evaluation process is what makes the most sense if we're going to be there short term, or if we're really planning on maybe this being long term and maybe our last home. Every customer's circumstances are unique, and we do our best to to personalize each individual encounter based on those unique customer circumstances.
Well, let's kind of explore that a little bit. So I'm going to put you guys in the hot seat.
All right.
I know this is not exclusive to Pyatt, but we've kind of been in a issue of a supply chain, delays. You never quite know which week when you're building, sometimes if there's a delay, where it's coming from. Sometimes it's electrical, sometimes it's the garage door openers, windows, you name it. I'm hearing all of it. And it just truly depends on the builder and their suppliers. But where are you guys at as a builder? Pyatt, Indianapolis, how have you guys handled your new construction sales to ensure that you're keeping closing dates on schedule? And just kind of talk a bit about real estate for you guys for 2022 and coming into 2023.
Sounds good. Well, you're right. That is a hot seat topic right now. So there's no question, we've all seen a very different world over the last, couple of years. And a big part of that for us has been, supply chain limitations, some labor limitations, and then working through overall demand. Part of that is setting expectations. And the challenge that a lot of builders have had over the last 2 years is, an expectation set today, circumstances come to play that are unanticipated. You mentioned some of those, long lead times on windows and garage doors and glass for shower doors and things like that that maybe we've never really experienced to the level that we have in the last couple of years. And some of that comes and goes. 1 month we're not having any problem getting certain appliances in, and then 3 months later we are. So I think it's important that everyone enters into a building process right now with an understanding that there's going to be a degree of flexibility necessary for everyone. Things are taking a little longer. Every home is getting built, and at the end of it, sometimes there has been reselections, a product that's discontinued, or we find out from a supplier that there's a significant delay and they have to reselect. So there's some of those things that we certainly don't want to have to approach our customers on, and we do our absolute best to make sure that there's very good additional options that are out there, so that we've never had to work harder than we are today at keeping track of what is, maybe what is hard to get, but then what are the options for replacements. So we want to make sure that when that does happen, that there's good options and options that customer will be satisfied with. But certainly I'm going to just use that word, flexibility. We all have to have more of that today than maybe we've had at any point in our lives.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on that?
He took the words right out of my mouth, word for word. Actually, the one thing I would add to that, as we've gone through this, as our country, the world has gone through this, a wonderful aspect of this is that our clients have been outstanding throughout this process. Just the patience shown with us, and kind of sharing in the responsibility of staying happy and moving forward. Just been really thankful for that. We just have great customers. Same thing on our realtor partner side. It seems like everybody understands what's going on and have done everything in their power to help keep the process going and keep it fun. So it's been great from that respect.
I hear that, and your answers have been very diplomatic. As they should be. I certainly understand that question is difficult to answer, and it's very circumstantial, because like you said, Jared, it can be fine 1 month or fine 1 week. And I've sat at a supply chain meeting or suppliers meeting at Baggy and heard the concrete people and your rebar people talking about like, yep, we'll tell people we're good to go. And then we get a call from the people in manufacturing, or there's a shipping delay, and we get to bear the brunt of the bad news. So just know, if you're a consumer watching this, like, no one enjoys saying, hey, sorry, I set an expectation and I can't meet it, or it's going to be 30% more than what I quoted you.
It's all good.
Yeah, we have, and one element to add to that is the municipal side. So the municipalities, are a critical part of the process. So, whether that's when we're applying for building permits and, when the pandemic initially hit, we saw huge delays in that building permit application to receipt side. And those have improved in a huge way. But then you get into we need power, we need water, we need, gas, we need those things to the homes, and a lot of the labor side there from the different utilities have been way behind. So we've run into cases where a home is essentially complete, and we've been running it and building it off of generators, but to close it, we need to have permanent power, and we're waiting on a utility company to connect us. So there are those supply chain side, and then a lot of that in labor side, and a lot of that is both of those for those utilities as well. I'm certainly not throwing them under the bus because they're dealing with very challenging circumstances as well. But those are some of the very unique factors that have come into play. And in saying all that, what are the benefits of new construction? So, as we all know, Jessica, you in particular, and the realtor community have struggled with inventory, available inventory on the market. And where there's been some shortages with builders on developed lots, we have been able to help a lot of those customers that maybe weren't able to find something on the existing home side to build new. So the benefits being, it's today's most current designs. It's, everything is brand new. Everything is under warranty. They're in new neighborhoods. There's a lot of just very exciting factors about building. Yes, I can say this. I've been in new construction for over 30 years. And, I can't imagine ever not building, having built, many homes for myself, my family. I can't imagine not building and being able to specifically personalize to the level that you can with new construction compared to existing. So yes, I feel that personally, I feel that professionally, but it's very rewarding to go through that process of picking your plan and picking your options, your elements, your designs, and then seeing that really built in front of you. And then, and with the neighbors around you, you all kind of go through that process together, which builds a great bond between neighbors as you're all doing that. And it's very exciting, but it like all sides of the industry right now does probably require a little more patience than what it might have in the past.
Yes, and just know for those watching, the questions and the discussion that we're having around supply chain is not specific to Pyatt. This is just an industry, or those remarks are reflective of the entire industry right now when it comes to building. But I do want to ask you both, so what makes Pyatt unique? If you're considering new home construction in Indianapolis and you've got homes in similar price points, what sets you guys apart as a builder?
Aaron, I'll let you take that one.
Okay.
I'll piggyback it.
Where should I start? I think I guess where I would start is, at least what I hear from buyers, is that they really like the look of our exterior elevations. They like the communities that we build in as far as how they're laid out, lot sizes. There's a certain warmth, I feel like, to our home plans and our model homes that I've not seen in other builders that I've worked for over the years. And I hear that repeatedly through, especially the first 4 or 5 months of the year as the market's really booming. People are out looking at other builders, and when they walk into our homes, I hear it in their voice. This is what we're looking for. So, and I think that's that warmth in our open floor plans. I feel like we look at the we look at the trends. I guess we're following trends. We move pretty quickly as far as if we see a new trend in options or colors or styles, that we move pretty quickly to to add those to our selection, our design studio, excuse me. So I feel like we moved pretty quickly on our feet from that standpoint. I think we're priced properly for the market. So I also hear that we have a better included features list than some of our competitors. So a lot of those things come together to make us pretty unique, I think.
Yeah, and great. Thank you, Aaron. Great points. We do. We're again, we're the would be the largest privately owned home builder in central Indiana. And, we're a niche builder. Where a lot of your nationals who do a very nice job in their business plans, maybe not do as much niche products as more global type products, where we do, we've got over 5 series right now. We have more coming. We have a wonderful in-house architectural and drafting team. So to Aaron's point, when we decide, we need a new 2,800 square foot modern prairie or modern farmhouse design, or we need a paired patio product, or we need we're able to move very quickly with that. So that allows us to stay with those trends. We have an absolutely gorgeous design studio located in Carmel, and we have hundreds of choices available for our customers, and just so many different options. It allows them to personalize, their home specifically, again, to their wants and needs. And that is different today. A lot of your larger builders have gone to purely what we call speculative or immediate occupancy type homes, where they're pre-selecting for the customer their choices and providing very little, if any at all, choice to the customer. And that works fine for them and maybe fine for somebody that has to move into something right away. And we do offer our own, what we call quick move-in homes, that are homes that we've done similar. We've taken our most popular designs and color combinations and put some of those out there for somebody that may not have an opportunity to wait. But where a lot of those other builders right now aren't letting the customer choose their own plan, personalize it, we have that ability in every one of our neighborhoods. And that is a big difference right now, that ability to not have somebody pick them for you, but for you to pick what you really want to have with our design studio consultants who are experts in their field and ask all of the right questions to help our customers get to, again, the right color combinations and design and look that they really want to achieve for themselves and their families.
That's really interesting. And I love to hear that you have the quantity of customizations offered and we haven't clarified what the price point is yet. I know roughly, but I'm curious where things are at today. But my question is, when you answer that as well, is how are you able to meet your deadlines while providing those customizations? Because I know for a lot of builders in our area, they've drifted away from customizations because it prevents them from ordering in bulk to guarantee deadlines. So how have you navigated your ship, so to speak, to sail your customers with ease, metaphorically speaking?
Yeah, no, we have taken I say somewhat unique in the marketplace and kind of a slotting perspective, and then as opposed to just selling a home and maybe and then there are a bunch of homes and then them all kind of becoming a bit of an elephant and a snake and none of them getting out the door. What we've really tried to do is be proactive. And as we are as we are working with customers to, finish up their purchase agreements, we're assigning, depending on the community, their start date. So this is allowing us to set an expectation on when the home's going to start and then get out early ahead of it. So just as one example, we do right now a special effort right up front with regards to windows and doors, because there's really significant lead times. As an example, just one of them is on windows. So the sooner that we can meet with the customer, we can say, well, you have plenty of time to decide these other elements. here are some that we really need to decide on now, so that when we do get under construction, we've already ordered those windows, we already have those products lined up. And ideally, we're trying to eliminate any potential for delays that we can. So, we've kind of identified those key areas. Again, windows is an example, to say, all right, well, we need to decide those today, but you have a couple months to decide on your tile or your flooring or some of the other items. So we really had to pivot and adjust based on those circumstances, and that's the best way today, anyway, that we've found to be able to manage that. Did I answer your question?
Partially. Aaron,
Okay,
do you
which
want
one
to,
did
Aaron, do you want to speak into the price point?
The price point?
Mhm.
Our homes, we go anywhere from the mid 250s up probably into the 400 or 500 range, starting prices. And that will vary by community, of course. We have several different series of homes, anywhere from paired patio homes to, of course, single family homes at different levels and styles. I'm not sure where to go from there.
No, it's okay. I wanted to make sure that I always try to operate under the assumption that the person who's watching this video has no context as to who you are or for any of these particular videos. Because a lot of times people, I think 30% of sales nationally tend to be relocation, or people are moving from different states. And so I try to accommodate that type of perspective into these interviews, because you just never want to take for granted that someone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So to clarify, for your price points, that 250 to roughly 500, are those homes slab foundation, or do you offer products with basements?
We do. We generally would start as your base in this market, which is pretty normal as a slab foundation. So that pricing that Aaron referenced would be starting with the slab. So some product designs may not offer basements, for example, paired patio duplex type designs. But on the other hand, the single family side, for the majority of our locations, we would be able to offer basements with those. And again, that depends. So the price points that Aaron mentioned, those are the starting points, and everyone's a little different with what they add in extras. But if you're adding basements and 3-car garages and things like that, I mean, our price points will go over $600,000, depending on what somebody might put into the home. But again, that's really that ability for them to still customize and choose what's most important to them. As far as the locations go, those products vary all over. And we have communities in Carmel and Noblesville, and we're on the Indianapolis, one of the new ones that we're getting ready to open, or just actually we're open for pre-sales. Our models opening here in about 45 days is in Franklin Township, which is a southeast side of Indianapolis, very popular area. We have a one that Aaron sells into called Highlands of Grassy Creek. That's in Warren Township, and that one is open for pre-sales and doing exceptionally well, and have a model home that'll be opening there in again about probably 45 days. So we've got communities coming in. I'll go to the west side, Danville, Plainfield, Pittsboro. We have locations, kind of south west in would be kind of the Canby, Mooresville areas, and we have 2 new communities, in fact, in the Canby, Mooresville areas that will be opening up for pre-sales within the next couple months. We'll build in Greenwood, and we always, like every builder, we're finishing neighborhoods, we're starting neighborhoods, and we are constantly on the hunt for more ground. What you will find in the Indianapolis area is that builders are going, and us included, a little further out to provide affordability. The closer in, the more expensive the land is. Maybe the municipal requirements are more stringent, and those requirements drive pricing up and challenge affordability in a lot of ways. So we're always looking at the growth areas. Lebanon is an example. We're doing really well in a Lebanon area community right now. And we're nearly sold out of the section that we're in there, but we have another, 50 or 50 plus home sites that we'll have at some point, probably in 2023. So always lots and lots going on with trying to find more ground and more community locations.
Yeah, and I had to laugh when you started talking about that, because I thought, yeah, and you're ticking off all the farmers in process, because that's the hard thing right now about, people want affordable housing, but it's supply and demand. If a lot of people want to live in the same spot, then it's going to whoever's pay the best to live there
Right.
to balance out. So, you address affordability with less attractiveness, or like it's a catch-22, because you have people who
Balance.
move. Yeah, you have people who move out to the country because it's more affordable, and they might be on fixed income or something like that, and then the area around them appreciates or gentrifies, and then they might get pushed out because they can't pay their tax bill. So that's a complicated issue. But overall, and then you also have farmers who don't want to farm anymore, so they can go enjoy the fruits of their labor. But
Well,
I guess
we'll find some of those farmers who will sell that, we'll call it the higher dollar land that is now in close. Maybe it wasn't 15 years ago, but now it's part of the Indianapolis area. And so then they'll take those higher dollars and then go buy more ground further out where they're continuing their family farms, just be capitalizing, taking advantage of today's higher land prices in those closer areas.
Yeah, a friend of mine was telling me about how a lot of horse farms are drying up in our area because shows are just so expensive, but land's appreciated as well. So I think a lot of people who live in Indiana love, if you live out in the country, you love that feel. So it gets a little challenging when you have development coming your way, but at the same time, people need a place to live. A lot of families want to build wealth and get out of renting, which is actually a really good segue. How have you guys as a builder adapted to the market where, let's say you do have a client who wants to build with you, maybe they have a house to sell or they're coming out of a rental situation. How do you work with their timeline where on the sell side, maybe they have a sell contingency in order to purchase. And on the other side with renting, they could be scared if they sign a contract to build, but maybe that doesn't get honored because of delays. How are you guys handling those discussions?
Well, fortunately, we've been, we have not, although we've taken, and absorbed ourselves a lot of price increases, we have not passed any of those on to a customer that's already been under contract. We've honored our contract prices really regardless of the beating that we may have taken through some of those cost increases, and tried to do our best to help that circumstance with customers. So Aaron, I'll flip it to you I talk too much, so I'll flip it to you if you want to talk a little bit about the contingencies and kind of that general sales process.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of builders, given the circumstances of the last couple of years, stopped offering contingencies on the sale of their home. So both realtors and buyers have been very happy to come in here when they ask that question. I'm lucky enough to be able to say, yes, we do still offer 30 and 60-day contingencies. Typically with this market, a home goes on the market and it's sold within a few days. And we've got enough time because of our backlog to get them through a process while their home is going through the inspection process and closing. So that's been pretty phenomenal to be able to still do that. From a deadline standpoint, I feel like, again, for the most part, buyers have come in pretty clear-eyed on knowing that their lease, they typically aren't going to have to break it early for the most part, but they may need to get extensions, which a lot of times can cost more per month, but they've been willing to do it given the circumstances.
Yeah, and I'd add to that, that one of the benefits of new construction is with those people that are under a lease or renting right now, it's a lot easier for us to work with those timeframes than it might be on an existing home. If I have a lease that's up in 6 months and it's already competitive enough, and I put an offer in on an existing property and say that I don't want to close for 6 months, pretty much guarantee that's not going to be an accepted offer. Where with the builder side, we can work with them extending leases. Maybe it might be for 3 or 4 months, but just because of I'm gonna call it the advanced notice ability, they tend to be able to work those circumstances out a little bit better. Builders also have the ability, even if somebody has some financial, some credit hiccups, that need to be worked through, where they have maybe those credit circumstances have a specific seasoning time period to them, where we can time completion of the home and a closing that's based after that time frame to allow their mortgage approvals. So there are, some outside of just everything being brand new and current and the greatest and latest designs, there are some additional elements that make it attractive for new construction. One kind of elephant in the room in the market right now is anything under 350 or 400,000. There's a lot of investors out there buying those homes. Some builders, us as one of them, we don't sell big numbers of homes to investor groups. So, so that allows that customer who may be, at a price point that's losing out to investors to still be able to buy from a builder and not have that and stop losing the bids, if you will, on the existing side to those investor buyers.
I want to get on a soapbox so bad about this.
Step right up.
Oh man. Without hijacking the conversation, I think that's wonderful. I think the local economy is going to really benefit from that. And you might even be saving subtly the middle class. So congratulations. So with, I guess the consensus in all of that is, if you're thinking of selling, the good news is you do have the option to have a sell contingency with Pyatt at the time of recording this video, which is nice. That is unique. And then also know that there are other investors out there, or people who will pay cash who aren't investors, who may be willing to work with your timeline. So definitely talk to your realtor or myself, because we do have those people in our pocket who can be more flexible with your timeline. I get a lot of conversations with people where they recognize the market's good, or they're worried about a recession and want to capitalize on the market, which is a whole nother video in itself. But if you feel that selling is right for you, please reach out to us, because I'm one of those realtors who doesn't have sales breath. I don't care when you sell. I mean, I'd love to work with you, but I'm not going to be hounding you if we have a conversation to get your home under contract or something like that. But I think that knowing what your options are is half the battle, because then you can make educated decisions, not have anxiety about what's coming up. And then if you do decide that building is the next step for your family, Pyatt is one that can accommodate that timeline. And ideally, hopefully you would only have to move once and not have to deal with a storage unit. I've had multiple situations where sellers have been able to close on their home, get free delayed possession, and only have to move once and move either into that new home or into a pre-existing home. So just know that as a seller, there's a lot of options available. And then speaking into those watching who are renting, be very forthcoming with your landlord. Like, hey, we're building, this is our expected completion date. It might be wise that we plan to vacate a month or two after, just as an insurance policy for you. And then see like if they have any expectations about when they might be increasing the rent, because if your rent is going to increase in the future by having to go month to month, you can go ahead and budget for that. I do think that you're going to see more nationally headlines out about people becoming homeless because they get evicted and they can't pay their rent, and they can't find an extended stay hotel, or Airbnbs are too expensive. So I'm curious to see, and that's a very sad thing to say, but at the same time, just be proactive in having those conversations, and whether that's 6 months out or a year out, it's never too early to plan and just, again, know what your options are. Have you guys had any similar discussions or any thoughts on that?
It was certainly lots of discussion around what's going on in, the market with rental rates going up, and that in itself is pushing people to, to find a way to purchase again, whether that's an existing home or a new home. And even with higher interest rates, I mean, another little bit of an elephant in the room right now is, yes, rates have gone up. We are very happy that we have really 3 exceptionally solid preferred lenders that we work with. We pay some additional closing costs when our customers use those preferred lenders, and part of the reason for that is it helps. It's a smoother transition for us when there's a lender that actually understands new construction, but we also vet them to ensure that they're providing the best possible service to customers. So, meeting with a lender early in the process to understand, what finance options exist is very important. There is a study out there that shows that a very significant amount of the public believes you have to have 20% down to purchase a home. And that is absolutely not the truth at all. There's lots of programs out there, certainly VA and veterans, and you can purchase new homes with VA eligibility as well, which is essentially a zero down type program. There's bond money programs, there's USDA programs for your more rural areas. And, it's important. And then, you can get other programs. FHA is essentially 3.5% down. There's 3% conventional, 5% conventional. So lots of different adjustable rate mortgages. As rates have gone up, we're seeing a return to that. And that's not a bad word. We've all been spoiled by unusually low interest rates the last quite a few years. Historically, even with rates where they are today, they're very solid interest rates. And you know what? Prices aren't, I don't believe prices on the new side or the existing side are going to come down. So, if someone decides to wait just for the sake of waiting, they're probably going to pay a higher price. If rates do come down, well, you can always refinance. But the prices of homes, people much smarter than me that I listen to are saying that. So I'm going with what they're saying and their evidence for the short version of the story. But I think it's a great time to buy a new home right now or an existing home right now. But yeah, you do have to work through those rental circumstances, those increased circumstances that Jessica outlined, and make sure that you fully understand what options are in front of you, both short-term and long-term.
Aaron, do you have any thoughts? I know Jared and I have been talking quite a bit, but what do you think about the discussion?
Sorry. I just have to everything that Jared just said is really what I would have to
You concur?
concur. Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. That was good.
Well, the good news is, I know we've talked a lot about the industry as a whole today, and we didn't talk specifically too much about Pyatt. And I mean, we could definitely do more deep dives on what makes Pyatt unique. For those watching, this is part of an indie home interview series where I help you understand your new home construction options available. And typically I dive deep into specific communities so that I can hopefully save you time from having to drive around and compare different options, or make your time more efficient, because then you already know a bit more about it when you do get out to see these different options. But you guys mentioned that you have several coming up, which we can certainly do follow-up interviews about and talk more in detail. But for those who are interested in learning more about Pyatt or the upcoming communities, can you list your top 3 that you have right now, and where should they go check those out?
Yeah, no, in our website at pyattbuilders.com, or which is Pyatt builders.com, or certainly reach out to Jessica. We do our best to keep the realtor community informed of new areas. Again, we've got two that are new models coming in. The one I mentioned, Highlands of Grassy Creek, and the kind of east southeast area in Warren Township. We got another one in Parks at Glen Ridge. Again, that's in Franklin Township. We have kind of some closeouts in Noblesville, and we have a closeout community, so another handful of lots left and a few inventory homes in Carmel, Canby area again. Where am I forgetting, Aaron? I need to look at my cheat sheet. There's so many.
Thorpe Farms at New Pal, Metal Lake College in New Pal,
Shelbyville. Yeah.
I feel like this is becoming where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Where is Pyatt at today?
We have lots going on.
Yeah, well, and that's a great thing because you're helping meet the housing need here in our city. It was a deficit before COVID, and it's certainly grown since then. Can you speak real briefly into if someone's watching this video and they're open to working with a realtor, but maybe hesitant to do so when building, what value do you see realtors bringing to the new construction transaction?
That's a great question. And I'm sure Aaron will add to this. Again, I would say, again, it's that side of, it's an educated opinion based on facts. So, what are people, what are people purchasing again? And, where we can build so many different things, but, we don't live in the resale market. So, Jessica, or maybe if you're already working with an agent, that agent, may have some advice on, do you need a fireplace today? Again, some of these are trends, 15, 20 years ago, I would have said, you always buy a house in Indianapolis, a home with a fireplace, because that's critical for resale. Now that opinion's changed a little bit, but there can be some geographical and some price point differences to those sorts of options as well. 3-car garages or not 3-car garages, vaulted ceilings and not vaulted ceilings. Again, and some of that depends on how long you're going to live in that home. So I really think that the partnership between the realtor and the builder, can be so critical in the process of just understanding, what is important for resale, what is important for you individually as a consumer that really makes that home what you want it to be, and then what can the builder build for you. Aaron, what would you add to that on the relationship?
I think our realtor partners as well, they are making just the search more efficient for the buyer. Not only finding the specific locations, price points that fit the buyer's needs, they're also there to help guide them through the buying process. And as our partner, we're here to help the buyer and realtor through the build process. We're the experts in that part of the process, and they're experts at the finding the locations and like Jared said, making sure that they're building a home that in the coming years, even though that a lot of people say they're going to stay there for the rest of their lives at 23 years old, they do end up 5 to 7 years later, life changes and they need a larger house or a different area, and their realtor was there at the beginning to help them through that process, knowing that in the future they'll need to sell that home as well. Yeah. So we rely on our realtor partners heavily.
And one important element, I think, for consumers to understand there too is that really comes at that service from the realtor community really comes at no charge to them. It's just like on the existing market, the seller, in this case the builder, us, pays any commissions and so forth. So it gives you that, again, that additional advice and recommendations and so forth, some level of third-party testimonial, but it gives you that at, again, no cost to you as the consumer. So, we do about 75% of our business right now with what we call realtor broker co-ops. So being the customers are working with a realtor, and that's a big number, but it's part of our advertising expense. And that's where that's where we pay for the realtor out of. If you say, well, nothing's for free, well, you're right, nothing is for free, but that's less money that I'm, having to allocate to radio ads or to, print ads, magazines, things like that, and through a source that has a real educational benefit to the consumer. So.
Yeah, that's a unique way to put that, Jared, because if you weren't co-oping with brokers and you were paying to advertise more, one could argue that the accountability is less to the consumer. Or like, I run my business primarily through referrals. I love that accountability. And so if you're not getting referral business from realtors, or realtors aren't wanting to work with you, what does that say about the consumer experience? Because we work with a ton of different builders. So that's a huge compliment that you've got 75% of your business being co-opt, where consumers have third-party representation that's dedicated to protecting their best interests. A lot of times I hear people who aren't familiar with that process and think, oh, that sales rep, they're going to work for me. They're buddies. We have a lot in common. I love when that synergy happens, because it makes it more fun. But unfortunately, they are employed by the individual. And sometimes they do hold a real estate license, so they do have to practice disclosure. But I like to tell people, if you aren't partnering with an agent, you're paying for services you're not using, because it's that agent's compensation is built into the base price of the home. And that's not something the builder will ever negotiate below. So make sure that you're using all that you're paying for, essentially. But anyway, this was certainly a good discussion and just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all that Pyatt has to offer. We have talked about their website, pyattbuilders.com. Is that the correct? Okay, great.
It is. Yeah. Thank you.
And we will certainly put more follow-up interviews on our schedule for the upcoming communities. If you all have any questions, please feel free to connect with me. My number is 317-679-3223, or you can find all of this in the description of this video. Thank you so much to Aaron and Jared for their time today. Hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Jessica.